Hey again guys, this is just a little video here. Normally if we install a unit for the customer, we'll just go over a few things for them. We obviously have a lot of videos and a lot of documentation and manuals to go over our unit, so we don't try to give the customer too much information because it'll just go straight over your head. But okay, so a post install, like what we do, obviously this is our unit's our home screen. First thing we normally cover is CarPlay and Android Auto. Now the process for these are the same. Head to your other phones like Bluetooth. Sometimes you gotta turn it off then back on like that. Go into here, click search on your Bluetooth. Now it uses Bluetooth to say, hey, my phone's here, and then it uses the hotspot to connect or wireless CarPlay or Android Auto. So that is a phone there, that sort of funny looking thing. Get some requests on your phone, pair, yes, allow, yes. So that's Bluetooth hooked up. And what it's going to try and do is auto start CarPlay. Should do. If it doesn't, you'll have auto link or car leader here. Just click on that if to activate. You won't have this issue, but if you do, you just have to turn the Wi-Fi on here. I normally just hotspot my phone's Wi-Fi to it. It'll say connected. I've got activated success. Just had to activate that. You won't get that issue, and you can see it has come up here. So normally on here you'll get a request to use CarPlay or use Android Auto. So that is basically CarPlay. Android Auto is the same process. Join to Bluetooth, then it'll hook up. You should get some requests, 2 triangles in your top bar on your Android phone, which will tell you it's working. Now CarPlay or Android Auto, they're the same things. They're made to be used without touching the button. So, hey Siri, send Harley work a text message.
What would you like to say to Harley?
Testing.
It says testing. Send.
I won't send it, but basically it's going to work like the same. It's either going to be hey the Apple version or hey the Google version. It's going to bring that. So you use that for navigation, phone calls, text messages. That's probably about it. Yeah, you go your maps or Google Maps. That's your navigation. So it hooks over your phone's hotspot. No cables needed, and it's just pulling the data off your phone. Basically, it's the mirror version of your phone that they've designed for cars. So text messages, navigation, phone calls. There'll be some other apps. Not all apps will work on CarPlay or Android Auto, and they will also be a bit limited because again it's distraction-free driving, so it gives you a limited amount of information, but that gives you an idea of what comes up here. So the auto link or car leader, that is our Android Auto or CarPlay app. So that's one thing that's going on with the unit. So now normally when you jump in the car, it's gonna quick boot, so it's gonna start, or we'll show you that. So the car's off, blah blah blah. I'll jump in the car, turn it on. It's going to boot within 3 seconds, so fairly quickly. I was wondering what was going on there, but it was because the unit didn't turn off for long enough, so CarPlay was still connected. But basically, it's going to boot within 3 seconds, and within about 10 to 20 seconds, you're going to have CarPlay or Android Auto up. That's why when we sort of talk about the home screen, it isn't so important because you only see it sort of briefly. You're normally seeing Android Auto or CarPlay as the main interface. So anyway, we press home and we go back here, and now you can put common apps down at the bottom here, and I'll explain that. So that is our CarPlay Android Auto app. Now if we go into here, you can treat this just like an Android tablet. So it has access to the Play Store, which means you can download a majority of apps and do a lot of cool stuff with it. That's why we run an Android based unit, because it just opens up a lot of different possibilities. So Android base and your CarPlay Android Auto is in there. That's sort of how I try to explain to customers. So these here you can click on and change different apps. The whole point of having these down here is basically so you can quickly go home and then choose quickly one of these different apps. For example, you might have a tire pressure one here, or a rear view camera, or maybe you're using something else on here because you prefer to actually use it on the device. This here we're about to change. It's just really a useless widget at the moment. We will improve that. Obviously time and date there, pretty straightforward. This here takes us into our radio. Radio, pretty straightforward. It scans, push that on and off, and then you should go back to scan mode. Press and hold to save. If you tap AM again, you can go to AM2, so it gives a second a lot of stations. FM's the same. FM's got 3 versions, so you can have 18 presets all up. Again, pretty straightforward. If the station has data, which this one looks like it does, maybe not that one, there you go, this one does, it'll bring some of that basic information in. that's basic like radio, pretty straightforward. Back home, and then here is where you would play like USB music, or you can actually download music directly onto here. There's 128 gigs, so you can actually put your like USB like music onto the unit. Then over here, down here, we got how you get into like all our apps. Some of them are like sort of handy. That there is your CarPlay Android Auto again. This here's your settings. Sometimes you'll be using some of these. That is the main one you'll be going into. That will bring up default like maps. So for example, because it's like Android like base, we install some packs on here. Like Murph's a good one. Again, it's free. You just have to hook this to the internet, and you can like download the latest like packs, which means you'll have like navigation like anywhere, so like offline. If you want to download other apps, you can head into the Play Store here, HEMA, memory maps, etc., etc. Scrolling through all of these, we can tell you like more about them if you ask, but there's like a DSC app. If your car doesn't have like a factory amp, you can play around with that. On a phone and like contacts, because the unit can have its own like SIM card, so it can be treated pretty much like a phone itself and have its own like number, or you can just put like a SIM card in, so like this unit has like data the whole time, depending how you want to like use it, because it basically gives you a tablet with data on it the whole time. F-cam will like basically give you access to the front cam input and the like rear cam input. This is quite interesting. On this car, it's the factory camera, and it actually like works the whole time, which is interesting. But that's like where you would put your sort of kind of caravan camera or like rear view camera. Car info will work sometimes to like bring in some sort of settings, like etc. Mainly if your car is a CAN bus system, so in our harness there's like a little plastic box. APK installer is handy if you want to install like extra APK type apps. If you don't know what that is, don't worry, you won't ever need it. Car scanner is the OBD2 dongle one. You can bring that data into it, so you can bring in trans temp, revs, like coolant temp, check engine, check lights. Chrome is your web browser. Like contacts, again, is just like contacts if you had a SIM card in here. DABs, if you're like using our DAB plugin to have a radio. File manager is how you can like sort of copy and like open different like files around. For example, if you wanted to copy music directly onto here. Gallery, not really needed. Google, not really needed. Just test, you can just test the GPS is like working okay in here. High definition recorder is our like dash cam app, so we have single like dash cams that hook into here. You can use those as like an add-on. iGo is another navigation thing which we're getting like sort of rid of because it's too much of a pain. Instructions is our install manual which is in here, which will pretty much cover what I'm talking about. So Magic Earth is a good offline navigation app. Maps is a Google Maps. Again, this needs data for that to work. Text messaging, again, if this had a SIM card in it, Facebook like Messenger, because you'll find CarPlay and Android Auto. CarPlay doesn't have it, and Android Auto is a bit like basic. So if you use like Messenger a lot, you can put a SIM card in here and you can have that like running all the time. Netflix is straightforward. Play Store is the Google version of the App Store for the users. Both settings, I took into that before. Spotify, so you can, if you have Spotify, you're most likely going to be like using that through CarPlay or Android Auto, but you can have it directly on the unit here. Talk is like another OBD2 app, which we are going to take off from our firmware, but you can download that again from the Play Store. Waze, again, that's directly on here, and like YouTube. So that is pretty much the spiel we give people after they put our like units in. We try not to cover too much of it because it just goes over your head, but this is just like a little video we will put out to all our post-purchase people, so you can sort of see what you do after you get the head unit all put in.